And then back to Joe Rowe's house. We're going to have an auction. We'll be getting a little bit of that on there. Mr. Chamberlain and son.
Yep. Thank you.
Thanks for talking with us.
Thanks for having us down. And thank Pigeon.
We'll be back in just a little bit.
You got to excuse me.
Thank you.
Hey, Jim?
Yeah.
They win.
Go ahead. Yeah, I know. He plays good. Yeah, storytelling. You gotta do so much. Mission will be out in the middle of that top road. Sometimes Hey, we're back. We got a guy from another country. He's from Canada, and I've seen him before up around Owensboro, Kentucky. He's a real nice fella. Tell him who you are.
Well, my name's... Do you really want to know you guys?
Yeah, come on.
My name's Jerry Selinger, okay, which doesn't mean a lot, but I'm back in Portsmouth where I came in 1958, and these are the magnets. This man here and, you know, his buddy, Joe Rowe. But today, You flew young birds or old birds?
A lot of young ones
A
today.
lot of young birds.
Yeah.
So today they were just okay, but everybody in the area is flying nice birds.
This guy used to be a professional football player, they tell me. Is that true?
Yeah, and I don't even have to act up today. It's such a nice, quiet day. Hey, that'll be enough.
Who'd you play for today?
And
when you was
Ottawa,
at-
Rough Rider.
Yeah. Hey, we're glad you came down here today. And there's a lot of people going to be seeing this. Is there anybody you want to say hi to in particular out there? Any bird guys?
Oh, not really. You know, just
Okay.
enjoy the place and have a good time.
Hey,
And
we're
I'm-
glad to have you
As
anytime.
I said, I'm usually acting up, but I have no real reason here. To,
Good man.
I enjoy the birds. What happened here is most of the guys are flying some very nice pigeons and lots of control and lots of nice speed, which is nice to see. Okay?
Hey, we're glad that you could come and spend time with us today. We'll see you here in just a little bit at Joe Rowe's house.
And the first thing we got in the yard.
Hey, guess what? Fly's over at 6:30. We started at 7:30. We're all tired. We're ready to go home. Most of the people's left. We had a little auction a while ago. And the whole deal with this fly was the competition between the three clubs. And so we won it. We got the plaque back. We get to keep it for another year. Sandusky had it last, and we had it before them. Now we got it back again. So we'll see who wins it next year. High score today was Joe Rowe at 210. Second score was 161 with from Jim Fiesel. Brent McCormick come in third with 160, and Roy Thayer come in fourth with 104. Joe Rowe from our club, Roy Thayer, and Brett McCormick are the three from our club that won this course. And guys, thanks a lot. You know, we're glad to get this back. And I had a bad day with my birds, my young birds. I had them down just a little bit too lean on the food, and I'll get them the next time. So we'll see you here before too long. And hang in there.
Hello, my name's George Abner, and we're here in Wheelersburg, Ohio today with John Bender in front of his loft. Temperature's about 80 degrees, and we have a slight wind blowing. John Bender's loft, as you can see, is a very attractive loft. He has WC94 up there. He's this year's world champion, the World Cup winner, and we're pleased to be here today with him. And John, would you like to say hello to everyone?
Yeah, hi fellas, you probably remember me, probably getting tired of looking at me. We're at my house, we're gonna look around a little bit. Come on with us. Come on in, George.
I like the pigeon you have drawn here on your loft. It's real artistic and real nice.
It took me a long time. I spent several days on it.
I bet it did. I know some are white and some are black. Is there significance in that?
Well, salt and pepper, black and white. You know, basically I'm salt and pepper law because I like black and white pigeons more than anything else. We're looking at my cocks right here, my stock cocks. There's two racing homers in here, one solid white and one red bar that I'm messing with right now. But these are all cocks. You'll see a lot of black and white in here.
Real attractive birds. See, they've been real slick looking.
Well, I break up my breeding a lot sooner than most people, so they're mostly all through the molt and everything. They're about ready to start back breeding here before too long. My hens look pretty much the same on the other side, so we don't really need to go over there.
They really have an interesting looking one here on the floor, sort of a gray with white bars. And what do you call that?
Okay, normally that's just a blue bar, but it's got a dominant opal gene. And when your blue bars have a dominant opal gene, it fades out the black one in terms of flight. That's one of my favorite pigeons right there. He's about a 10-footer, really nice, good style. And I'm trying to develop some good spinning opals. And I didn't have much to work with, but they're coming along pretty good now.
Real attractive birds.
You want to go out and fly some pigeons?
Sure, let's go out and
Okay.
watch them fly.
You want to shut it down?
Okay, John's releasing his birds now, and we'll let him go back inside, and we'll watch him come out.
Let's go. Let's go. Come on.
There's a lot of people use a stick. John's using his hat to scare them out with.
Come on.
See some whites coming out there. John is really into black pigeons and white pigeons, or black and white pigeons, and I believe he has some of the best whites that there is around now, maybe the best whites. I've really seen some good quality birds here, and good quality white birds. As you notice, John has a flag there. Most fanciers do have a flag. It's good to scare them up with. Make it out of just about anything, just a pole, and most of them use a white flag. Looks like John has a pigeon or something drawn on his.
Yeah, this is MBRC pigeon.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's
You can order those.
it's
And,
transfer.
Yeah, just transfer it right on there.
Yeah.
We got one on the...
One through the tree. Are you rolling?
Yeah.
See, quite a bit of action in there today, John.
Well, they've been up a couple of days, and they're a little low on the food, so that they should work okay. Going to... I don't want him to get... yeah, he's okay. That went down through the tree. A little windy today. What do you think, George? 10, 15?
Yeah, about that, I would think. There was a nice spin. Another one.
That black grizzle you're talking about, one of the best spinners up there, George.
Oh, really?
Probably the best. And she's in there. You'll see her working pretty hard. I'll be competing with her in the local fight coming up.
John is a stiff competitor here locally and apparently nationally and worldwide, because he is the current World Cup champion. And anytime I come to John's house, I can always look forward to seeing a good kid of birds. I know another local guy here that's a club member. He said that he's gone around and watched birds, and then he'd come back to John's house and he'd say, "Ah, there it is. You know, that's what I like to see." So John does put up an impressive kit. Several good individual spinners in there.
I tell you what, George, you know, if you keep the good spinners, as long as you put them up, that will always ensure you'll have good ones every year, and that's what I try to do. Once I get them in the stock off, I try not to get them out, but once in a while I have to. The competition's getting pretty tough or something, I'll have to go in there and get a couple and refly them, but I hate to take them out of the stock off.
Yeah, I know what you're saying.
Right here, there's probably right at 40 pigeons, and I had some problems with young birds earlier in the season. Normally I'd have about 100 right now, but there's only about 40 right there.
Yeah, I was just getting ready to mention there is quite a bit of unity there, but in order to get a kit working in unisession, usually you have to pick out the kit, 11 or 12, whatever, and fly them together and get them all working at the same time. When you fly this many birds, usually you're not going to have a full turn, you know.
Yeah.
But
I tell you, a full turn, every one of them, say you're talking 20 pigeons, a good full turn is almost impossible.
Yes.
You know.
Especially with 40 birds.
Yeah, 40 birds.
I've seen probably half turns there, and that's really good for that many birds to be flying and have a half turn. For the people that don't really realize what a half turn is, that means if you're flying 40 birds, a half turn would be 20 of the birds rolling at the same time.
Yeah, they go like, I think, a quarter, a half, and three-quarter.
Yes.
And then the full. Then if you just have a bunch go, and they'll call that a bust. You'll hear it referred to as a bust sometimes.
The blackbirds and the white birds and the black and white birds all up there together, that's really impressive. It really catches your eye. And I can see why you like the salt and pepper deal.
Yeah, and it's my kind of sky, too. It's blue sky. It's my favorite sky. And of course, now in competition, you want a cloudy sky. It'll add to the quality look of your birds when they're spinning, because you'll see faults in them a lot more with the blue sky. But just as far as color goes, I like the black and white on a blue sky. I really get like a relaxed feeling just watching my pigeons work that way.
So what you're saying is then, if it's cloudy, then actually you don't see the wingtips quite as much as you do on a good clear day.
Yeah, it'll help you.
Yeah.
It'll
But if you're having a fly and it's cloudy, then everyone having that fly that day will be competing against the clouds, so you all have the same chance.
Yeah, plus the clouds tend to help your birds fly a little lower, and they're easier to watch for the judge. On these skies like today, if your birds are overfed, them's the kind of days that you can lose your pigeons.
And also, I'll ask you this and see if you agree. I have released my birds before. There was a good turn.
Yeah. See that white? See the wings? That was an H bird there. Them's kind of, I'll be trying to hunt that one down.
There's a lot of them in there. If you'd give me a few minutes in your loft, I'd hunt down. But I've seen clouds be high and be moving real fast across the sky. Now, should you release your birds on a day like that? It's been my experience that if you got them overfed and they go way up and they get in those clouds, clouds moving real fast means there's a big headwind up there, and
like a jet stream.
Yeah, and they've carried my birds away before, and I've lost them in overflies.
Well, I like flying in the wind. I really do. Especially here, when the wind's blowing, they come up to the top of them trees. It'll kick them over a lot of times. And I've flown in 30 and 40 mile-an-hour winds just for the fun of it, which I wouldn't recommend to anybody. But my birds are used to the wind. But like you say, especially if a hawk comes and they get up where the clouds are moving, they get caught up in that, and you can lose them. So always be careful on a windy day, and if you got good spinners and it's windy, it usually will keep them low, and there's a lot more accidents that way. So don't fly in the wind. I'd recommend you didn't, but I do. I like to do it. We got about 5 minutes on this now. That's plenty, and we'll sit down and have a little talk here in a little while. But some of you new guys don't know what a hen and a cock acts like, their actions and this and that. We want to put a couple birds together and let you show you how they breed and stuff like that. So we'll get to that here whenever the cameraman's ready. There's a little white hen. Okay, we're setting a pair of birds in here. The white one is a hen, and we want to see if we can't get them to go through the ritual for you.
Is there a particular mating ritual that they go through when you pair them up?
Well, a lot of times they'll do a little nodding and stuff, which is basically a flirt. And the male, he'll usually start off first with that cooing like he's doing. Hopefully we won't make him too nervous. And he should fan his tail, what they call driving, and drive towards her. Now she's approaching him, she's interested, so. See how she kind of high steps?
Okay, so the one that's cooing and dancing, that is the male?
That would be the male. He'll put on the biggest show for you. Now she'll kind of step high and rear back a little, and now see she's going into the position there. This is what you call topping. Now he's going to breed with her. He'll use his wings to help keep his balance, and he's that's probably his first breeding session, I'd say. Okay, voila, he's bred. Now, see her do that little duck thing that she does there, the kind of strut, she kind of bobs down right after that.
Does the hen sometimes...
Sometimes the hen will top a bird, but that's like 1 out of 10. Usually that don't happen, but I have seen a hen get turn right around and breed back to the male. Now, a lot of times, see, they've been away from a male or a female for so long, they just went right to it. But now after they're there a while, they'll deal, start kissing with each other and this and that. Now, if you guys got birds together and you notice that they're breeding, like what you just saw, you can pretty well count on having eggs 7 to 11 days later, they'll be on eggs. Now, after that, they'll sit on them for 18 days, and you'll have young birds.
Now, does it usually the male, see, he's turning full circles. Sometimes the hen will strut and coo, but normally she doesn't turn full circles. Is that right?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, normally the cock will do a full circle and the hen won't. But now, it will happen to you. Sooner or later, you'll run into a hen that acts just like a cock. And basically, normally your hens are a little smaller than your male birds, but not always. So that'll kind of help you. But there's no really way of telling what's a hen or a cock without watching them, like watching them mate and stuff like that. We're going to grab another pair and see how they do, and we'll be right back. Okay, we're going to put in another pair. The hen's got the all-white tail. The cock's got the white on his wing there, on the wing bud. We'll see how they act. They ought to throw some pretty pigeons, that pair there. Now, she's got an all-white tail, and that's really what I'm after, black flights with white tails.
White flights?
Yeah.
Didn't you also mention to me one time that you're trying to pull the collar gene off of the oak ones, put white bars on those as well?
Yeah, I'm trying to get it. But I don't know if it's going to work off the oak. I understand that it won't. But I got a throwback or something that I'm working with that I think is going to work.
That's certainly a challenge to not only breed good quality spinning birds, but breed them in the color that you want them, and they actually make patterns on them.
Yeah, ultimately, what I'm wanting is birds that look like that with white bars on them. And I'm hoping the way things are going, I should have it in the next couple of years. Then I'll concentrate on the velocity and the style and the snap. I'm going to try to create a good group of competition birds that look like these with white bars on them. I think that'd be really nice.
So is the bird that's actually making all the advances there, is that the cock bird, and the other one, is that the hen?
Yeah, the one that's doing all the motions there, he's the male, and the hen that will be on the right. And she's a little interested, but she's playing a little hard to get right now.
Hopefully maybe they'll be on.
Yeah, I'd like to see the whole courtship if they do it.
I know on the nature programs, we see the peacocks and the turkeys and all that go through a dancing and mating ritual, but a lot of times maybe people don't realize that the pigeons do that as well.
Yeah, mostly she'll mess around there normally for a while, and then she'll loosen up here. Most of her problem right now is she's just in a new area. He's done forgot about that. He's zeroed right in on her. And she is interested. See how far back she leans? That's just one of the things that they do. And another one, a lot of times they'll drop the flight feathers down like she's got it.
Sometimes does the hen also drop her tail all the way on the floor and just rush forward a few inches?
Yeah, and even add a little hop to it.
Yeah.
Like what he's doing there when he fans that tail.
Yeah.
The hens normally do that too. Normally, they go to it a little bit quicker.
Maybe she's a little bit camera shy.
She might be. Where's the out? But he's definitely acting like a male. No doubt about it.
She's a little on the modest side, I'd say.
Now, she's a breeder, and I've bred out of her. I figured she'd go right to work here pretty quick. She's been put out quite a while.
Is this cockbird, is that a familiar cockbird to her?
No, I don't. She's never been with this particular bird before. I had him on another pigeon.
Does that make a difference? Do pigeons mate for life, or can you break them up and repair them with other pigeons? Or
Okay, a bird will mate for life. If you put it with another pigeon, it'll stay with that pigeon for life, but it will breed other pigeons occasionally, but it'll always go back to the original bird. But if you split them up and they don't see their mate for a long time, they'll turn around and mate up to whatever you put them up with, if they're not around another male.
so in other words, wild pigeons, or if they were allowed to fly free, would mate up with a particular bird, and they would stay mate of that bird for life. But you can control the mating and get different matings from the same pigeon.
Yeah, a lot of the newer guys mess up. See, they never bust their birds out. And after breeding, what I'm talking about busting them up is splitting them up, putting the hens on one side, cocks on the other. That way they can rest after stuff. Then you can remate them up to other pigeons after they've been split up for a while.
They go at it more vigorously, and they're more anxious too than if you leave them paired up year round. Sometimes they'll just stop breeding and settle the perch, and then when the next breeding season comes, they're really not that vigorous about getting at us too.
Yeah, right. I'm going to try one more pair for you guys, and I'll be right back. Okay, fellas, one more pair. The red bar is the hen and the blue bar is the cock, and we'll see what happens here. Actually, that would be a good pair to put together. He's a good spinner. She is too. Matter of fact, she's my best spinner.
She's real typey. She has a real chesty look, and she's not real long cast. That's the type of bird that I really like. Red bar. Red bar's not my color, but she has a real good body.
Okay, now see how she's acting there? She's interested. She's getting down over there. She's about ready to get into position. Of course, he's interested. See, the cock, there's a big difference on how they act. The cock, he's the pursuer. He's the one that gets right after.
He's real aggressive, and she is a little more passive, right?
Now, again, they went right to it, but normally there's a little more courtship than that. They'll kiss each other, what they call billing and stuff.
And what do they do when they kiss? What is the purpose in that?
Well, actually, what they're doing is regurgitating food back and forth to each other, and I guess it's just like taking chocolate candy to send her flowers or something to somebody that you like, taking them out to lunch, you know.
Isn't he offering her a gift? What you're saying, he's regurgitating that and offering her a gift, and she's accepting it, and that's saying that she is accepting him as a mate, and that's sort of a bonding process that they go through?
Yeah, from my understanding, that's what it is. And she's still interested in him. Now, if I let them together, in a week, they'd be on eggs. And a lot of you guys don't know, you know, especially the new ones, how the hens act, how the cocks act, and that's about it right there. Now, once in a great while, like I say, the hen will top the male and breed with him right after. She's not going to top it.
She is actually doing more of a dance, though, than the other hens have.
Yeah, and I see her flights down under her tail, and she'll nod her head up and down, too. That's what they call a flirt. She's flirting with her. See how she dips it down and back up? And he's showing himself, see, he's all puffed out and acting big.
Now, if you were to leave this pair together, what colors of youngsters could you expect?
Well, in this particular mating, the red is dominant, but you'd get both.
Mm-hmm.
You would get both on this here. She is red, is what she is. Of course, he's blue, but the red is dominant, so you should get both. He also has probably got blue on the other side. So I would say you'd probably get a little more blue than red.
Yeah. Now, could you possibly get a red check or a blue check out of this bar mating?
Now, anytime you put two bars together, you might get a couple different colors, but the bar pattern, they'll have bars. Whether they're blue or red, they'll have bars. You can put two checks together and get bars, because a pigeon has two patterns. Now, everything we're working with around here is check and bar, pretty much. So, only thing these are is bar. They got bar on both sides of them. So all the babies would be bar. It would either be red bar or blue bar.
The check is dominant. Check can hide bar, but bar cannot hide check. And so, in order for these to be have two patterns, and they have to be shown bar and hiding bar, right?
True.
Or something less dominant like barless. Or
barless, yeah. We don't work with any barless in this area. Yeah, if you put two barred birds together, fellas, and you get a check, then that tells you that something else got to your hen.
There's a mating going on somewhere there other than that cockbird.
Okay, also, we're going to move along now, and I'm going to show you guys how to make some bath water to really make your birds look pretty. Hey, fellas, I was out at Duck Godowski's house a couple years ago, and he's a big show guy. He used to show and judge nationals and everything. He's talking about cleaning up your birds, making them look good. And he showed me a few things that I want to pass along to you, and it keeps my pigeons looking really pretty. First of all, 20 mule team, okay? Good stuff. Don't make no bubbles. Just take you a half a teaspoon. Put it in there. That's all you need. Then you got this bluing. This one happens to be called Mrs. Stewart's, but there's also a little boy blue. 2 to 3 drops. That's all you need. Now, what that does is whitens your whites up really good. You can use it on white animals, white dogs, stuff like that. and your white brings the white out in the flights of your birds, or any white that's on it. It really makes it bright. You can let your birds take a bath in the nest. If another guy's got a white pigeon next to yours, your pigeon will look whiter.
So what is the 20 Mule Team Borax for?
Basically, it's a detergent, but it don't have all the soap suds and all that you have to deal with. And see, it makes no soap suds at all. Your water will look a little blue, which is okay. What I do, I take this and I set up my fly pan over there, and then this particular thing here is an oil pan. It only costs $1, okay? And put that in there, and that's about 4 or 5 inches worth of water, and all your birds take a bath in it, and they really look good. I just want to pass that along to you. 20 Mule Team Borax, and
another thing that the 20 Mule Team Borax does as well is if you have any feather mites or parasites, that will aid in ridding them of that.
Yeah, talking to Dr. Dodosky, and he said he don't have any parasites on these birds. This takes care of it, but I do find a mite here and there sometimes, you know. But
a little salt in the water would help too.
Yeah, a little salt. I've heard a little bit of salt in the water. Main thing is feed and water your birds first. That way you don't have to worry about them drinking this stuff. But as long as you got fresh water down for your birds to drink, they shouldn't drink it. But I always feed and water my birds before I give them a bath. Outside, if you're flying your birds and they land, and you want to give them a bath outside, just use fresh water. Because the first thing they want to drink, and I don't think it'd really be good for them to drink this stuff, you know. So outside, I give them fresh water, set it on top of the fly box, let them take a bath that way. All my stock birds, they get this here particular mixture, and it really keeps them looking pretty. Okay, we'll move along to something else now. We'll be back with you in just a second. Okay, what we want to do here, of course you guys know that I won the 94 World Cup fly, and I'd like to fly the birds for you, but I'm afraid of losing them. I'm going to breed out of them. They're all good pigeons. So what I'm going to do is bring them out and show them to you out here and tell you a little bit about them, and try to show all 20 of them to you. This white one here, his band number is 816, and she rolls both a 15-foot and she also does a 30-foot, and one of the better birds in the kit. The one on the left there, the solid black one, that's 0849, and she rolls about 15 foot. And then we got one next to that. That is, let me check her band number real quick. That one there is 0828. She's been in a lot of competitions. She's an excellent pigeon. 0828, I wrote their numbers down here. She's a 20-footer. She's real frequent. Matter of fact, they're all pretty frequent birds, but that's 0828 there. That's 3 of them. We'll bring out some more and let you look at those. Okay, we're back. We got 4 more birds. This first one, this black model, or black grizzle, was in the kit also. This is 0312. 0312 is a 30-footer. The one next to it, the red checker, is 0835. It's a 15 to 20, right along that range. The next bird, 826, is a cock, and it's also a deep pigeon. That bird's a 3-second spinner, which we usually call them about 30 foot. That's how I measure mine, by seconds, and if it's 2 seconds, I'll say 20. If it's 3 seconds, I'll say 30. And I know it's not exact, but it's close enough. The red ball head is a nice, small, typey little cock, and he's a 30-footer. The one down on the far left, that's 72. 72 is a hen, and she's been in quite a few competitions. She's a 91 bird. She's a real trooper, and she's a 2.5 to 2 seconds. She's about a 20-foot spinner. We'll go in there and get a few more, and we'll be right back. We got 4 more out here. This first one, this dark tortoise, tortoise grizzle, is 1211. She's a 93 bird. She's a 10-footer, real frequent, nice style, good spinning pigeon. The next one, 0865, black self, it's a cock. This one's a deep pigeon, one of the deeper ones in there. This thing will roll anywhere from a 3 to a 4-second spin. Goes right back in, good kit bird. Well, they were all good kit birds. Anyway, that's a deeper one. The very next black one is 0873. 0873 is a 2-second spinner, or a 20-footer. It's a hen. And then far back, the blue check, got a little bronzy inner wing. That's 0856. Nice pigeon, little hen. 0856 is another 15 to 20 footer. And we'll go in and get a few more and let you look at those. 4 more out here. This little blue check Mark, she's been in several competitions herself. That's 2338. She's an excellent pigeon. But she's a 20-footer. And we have the black self right next to her is 0834. And 0834 is a 3-second spinner. And then we got another red check bald. I had 2 red check balds in that kit. And that's 0887. That's a hen. 0887, she would do a 2-second spin sometimes. Sometimes she'd do a 3-second spin. And good pigeon. Next we got a black one, 0346. Little black self bird. She was a 15-footer. Real frequent, good hard worker. While we was out here, we had one get away from us, and I see it sitting over there, so we'll try to get it right now. Swing to the left, Jeff. See the white bar? The blue checker there, that was one of the birds. And I'll find this on him here, blue check beard. Where did he go? Did he take off?
Flew over on the air.
Okay, we'll try to get him back on there. He got away from us a while ago. That blue check beard was a 15-footer. Did you get a picture of him at all?
Yeah.
Okay. We just about got them all. We'll go in and see what we got left to put out here, and we'll be right back. Okay, we got the last 4. Like I say, we got one loose running around here. This bird here is a little hen, 832. Little black flight. 832 was a 2-second and 3-second spinner. The next black there next to it, black badge. He's a dandy. That's 858. That's a male bird. He will anywhere from 25 to 35. One of the deeper birds. And we got another black self to the right of that, 0874. 0874 is a hen. She rode 10 to 15 foot. Good pigeon. The last one, 0826, blue check ball head. She's a 20-footer, 15 to 20, right in that area. Okay, Jeff, there's that bird again. Let's take a look at him. This blue checker up here with the beard on it, he got away from us a while ago. He was in the competition. We was trying to get him out here. He's a 15-footer. He hadn't been out in a long time. I was afraid maybe I might lose him, but he flew around a while and he's landed. He's going to hang around. He got a full crawl. He probably won't come in until dark. But, that's all 20 of them. I thought you guys might want to look at them. I'll tell you something else interesting that I want to point out. These birds are not all from the same family. They got a lot of different backgrounds, and they all flew well together. They worked together good and this and that, and thought I might share that with you. And so a lot of people think they all got to be the same family to work together. These birds work together real well, and most of them weren't related. So we're going to sit down and have a little talk here with George, and see you in just a second.
Okay, as we mentioned earlier, John is the 1994 World Cup champion winner, and I'd like to tell you just a little bit about him since he is the champion. The dedication that he has. John is very competitive at anything he goes at. I've known him for several years now. He's a gentleman about everything, though. John is a black belt in karate, and that's quite an achievement. He has a school that he teaches karate at. He's a dog trainer. He's successful in that. And, you know, to be a World Cup winner, you have to be, I mean, you're the best. You know, that's what it's about. You're the best. And in mentioning that, John has had a recent role in a film and a movie, and it's called the best of the best, and you know, that's the feelings that we have about him, that he is the best of the best. While the film may not portray him as a person,
I'm a bad guy.
You're a bad guy in a film, but you know, John, everything he goes at, you know, he does go at it wholeheartedly, and he's very serious at this, and he's a good competitor. And I just mentioned the black belt and all that, and trying to relay that you know, that you do have to be serious in order to get to be the World Cup champion, and that John is very serious at this, and he does have excellent birds. How long have you been in birds, John?
Well, a long time. When I was a little boy, I used to catch wild birds, and then I got into parakeets, and then from there I got into the pigeons. But I had them from like 9 years old up until about 16, chasing the girls, and then I got back into them in my early 20s, and been back into them pretty much ever since. I'm 37 now, so a lot of years. Started with commies, getting in the old buildings, just like most of the guys, you know. I want to thank you for the kind words. Oh, well, you make a good PR man. If I need a PR man, you're the guy.
Well, you know, I just stated the facts. I didn't exaggerate anything. Probably underestimated you, really. So I read somewhere, and I hold these views to heart. I feel this way about it. I read that pigeon fanciers are not made, they're born. Do you believe that?
Well, in my case, it's true. I love birds, just watching them fly. I never knew anything about pigeons, but the birds I had, I wanted to turn them loose, but I was afraid of losing them. And an older gentleman told me that if I got a pigeon, that was a bird that would come back. And so from there, I got wild pigeons, and I did. I flew them. They come back, and I was tickled to death. And we were interviewed Bobby Nagel earlier in the program, and I took a shortcut through his yard. He's a few years older than me, and he had some beautiful pigeons. And I noticed they had little silver bands around their legs and stuff, and I got to talk to him. He told me about them being rollers. And to have a pigeon was great, because it would come back, you could turn it loose. But then to have one that could perform for you, I thought was the ultimate. So I got rid of my wild pigeons and got into rollers, thanks to Bobby Nagel. And I've stuck with rollers ever since. And from time to time, I'll get a different pigeon, a racing homer, a fantail, this or that. But just to show people there are different kinds. A lot of people don't realize there's different kind of pigeons. But yeah.
I think there's over 500 breeds, different breeds. But yeah, as a small child, I was always fascinated by them as far as I can remember back there, seeing the pigeons.
Yeah, so I think you're kind of born into it, you know.
Yeah. What, with the rollers, what would you say would be the type of bird that you would look for? Would you look for a bigger bird? Would you look for a smaller bird? Would you look for a long bird, a short bird? What would be your ideal body type in a bird?
Well, ideally, I like the shorter, smaller pigeons. I'm a William Pinson fan. I've read a lot of his stuff, and you know, some people agree with him, some don't. But I agree with a lot of the stuff that he says. One of the things he states is you cannot get them too small. It's hard to get small pigeons, especially small cocks. But I would think, just like anything, you probably could get them too small. But if your goal is to keep smaller birds around, in the long run, you'll be better off. So I like a small bird. I like one that's wedgy, and what I mean by wedgy is white in the front, tapers back. A good bird, to give you an example of what a wedge is, as far as shape goes, is a racing homer. They're real wide in the front, they taper back nice. That's a wedge. I like more of a medium to shallow killed bird instead of deep. If you got a deep kill on your pigeon, the bird has to stroke harder to keep up. And you'll notice on your hawks that they are on the shallow side, and they can fly longer and stuff. But a good example, some people don't really fully understand on keels, especially if you're new, what's deep and what ain't. If you ever get your hand on a Modena, of course it's over-exaggerated, but they're one of the deepest keeled pigeons there are. So if you grab a Modena, that'll tell you what a deep keel is. If you get a hold of a racing homer, that'll give you the feeling of what a wedge is. Of course, you want your roller smaller than either one of those birds, but them would be two good examples on the keel and the wedge. Other than that, I tend to like my flight feathers when they lay up on the tail to touch. you can get a bird a little bit too white in the front, and I think that would take away from the tips touching in the performance if you get them too white in the front.
I think the misconception you were talking about keel there, I've heard people state before, this is a really deep-keeled bird, and they would be referring to that it extends clear back between the vent bones. That's not actually deep keel, that's long keel.
Yeah, it'd be length, it'd be long.
The keel is the part that goes around the breast area, and a lot of people I've heard refer that as being, just throw that in.
Yeah, well, you're
keel.
right. A lot of them, when you look at keel, you're looking at length, and you're looking at depth. And a good way to measure the differences in depth, if you got a pigeon, is put one finger on the back and one finger on the keel. And the wider that is, the deeper the keel is. Just like on a boat, the deeper the boat sets in the water, that bottom of that boat is the keel. It's the same example. On the length, some guys like the length of the keel to run up into the vent bones. Some like for just the cocks to run up into the vent bones, and the hens, they like to have about 1 finger space between the 2 vent bones in the back and the keel. I have both. They both seem to do just as well for me, but I do try to stay away from the deeper keeled birds. They normally will roll down and kill themselves before the first year is over with.
What about overall length of the bird? Say from the back of its neck to the tail feathers, would you want that, say 7 inches, or would you want 10 inches, or what length do you like?
Well, it's just a preference. I've seen some long pigeons from the base of the neck to the tip of the tail, 9, 10 inches long, roll pretty good, look decent. But for me, I like from the base of the neck to the tip of the tail to run, like for instance on a hen, anywhere from 6.5 to 7.5, anywhere in there. And my cocks, around 7.5 is fine, but if I can get them a little shorter than that, I'll take them. But I'll even go up to 8, depending on how good the bird does. But basically 6.5 up to 8 inches, somewhere in there.
Everyone's hand size is different, so it's really not a true measurement, but we sort of have a measurement around here. You can hold your thumb up against the back of its neck and spread your hand out. But it depends on your hand size whether that would work or not. But
yeah, well, like I said, we all have different hand sizes. Now, I measure mine. I got 7. From here to here, that's 7. And I know when I lay that down, that's 7 inches. And if you know what your distance is on your fingers, whichever ones you're using, you can pretty well just measure it as soon as you pick it up. We went over some of that at Joe Rowe's house, discussed a little bit about that.
Okay, now, as far as color, I've heard a lot of people say that your reds and your blues, or your basic colors, are going to be your better spinning birds. Do you think that it's possible to take another color bird other than your basic reds and blues, and do you think that it's possible for them to spin as well as the blues? Do you think that, well, in knowing genetics, you're pretty sharp on genetics, that what are the other colors? What makes it another color?
Okay, basically you got your 4 patterns. Your T-check, which is a real tight check, then you got your open check, then you got your barred and your barless. That's the 4 patterns, and your 3 colors would be your, in order of dominance, is your red, your blue, and then your brown. Everything comes off of that. Used to, you'd hear, well, whites aren't that good, or yellows aren't that good. I think what the problem was, back then people didn't know how to make a yellow or a white, and they just kept going white to white or yellow to yellow. And even though if they'd run across a soft feathered pigeon, they would keep it just because it was that color, and they want to continue that color. And what they were doing was breeding a lot of soft feathered birds. But you can pick up a white or a yellow and find some good hard feathered birds. For instance, on a yellow pigeon, all that is a red checker, just carrying a dilute gene. So to answer your question, I think any color can be just as brilliant in the performance as any other color, except for maybe if you take into consideration the light factor. Some people like dark birds with white flights, and they figure that's a good combination. And I like the black with the white flights. I think when the light hits them, they flicker those flights off. Looks pretty good. But back to your question. Any color can roll just as good as anything else if the breeding is there, if you use your good spinning pigeons.
But so in other words, there are only 3 basic colors, and every other color that you see is just a factor that has been added.
Yeah, they call modifiers.
A modifier, and that modifier makes it a different color, but genetically that bird is blue, red, or
brown.
Actually in order of dominance, red, blue, or brown.
Right.
And So, but would you agree with this statement that it is a little more difficult to breed birds of collar that will spin right because you're dealing with a bigger gene pool, and instead of just picking out best to best, you're picking out best, and collar. So
Right.
it's a little more difficult.
Color is the last thing you need to really consider. But if you got real good pigeons and you happen to look down and say, well, you know, I got some real good pigeons and I got a lot of different colors and I got some modifiers, then why not, when you go to breed them, your best ones together, create some of the colors that you like having around. But now, if you just got pigeons and all you're doing is breeding color to color, you won't get anywhere. Bottom line is breed your best spinners to your best spinners. But if you've got a stalk loft with a lot of good spinners in it, and like I say, you look back and got a lot of different colors, well then take the option to create some of the colors that you like as you're creating these good spinners. And if you're really into colors, you like colors, one thing that helped me more than anything, and I'm sure George would tell you also, was James Turner put out a tape that was called Simple Genetics. And it's really simple. He makes it simple. Now, there's a lot to it. You might have to watch it 5 or 6 times to fully understand it, but if you do, you'll get it. And your main thing is your 4 patterns and 3 colors, and anything else off of that is a modifier. And once you understand that and the order of dominance, you got it made. You can create good spinning pigeons any color that you want.
Yeah, Mr. Turner is very sharp, and I would suggest anyone that can to get a hold of that tape. It's really a plus. And he enlightened us to actually you enlightened me to what a white is. We were under the impression that a white is just a masking, but can you explain to us what a white pigeon is?
Yeah, I had whites for a long time. I really didn't know how to make one from scratch. You know, I bred white to keep the white, but I was real curious after Turner made the tape. You know, he never said anything about white pigeons, and he wrote an article not too long ago that he was going to make a second tape a little more advanced, and was there anything that any of us wanted him to cover. And I wrote him a letter and told him that I'd like for him to cover white. I have white, I breed white, but I didn't fully understand how to create white from scratch. I considered it to be a mask, like recessive bred is a masking modifier, but he told me that actually what it is spread, the same gene that makes black and lavender, with 2 factors, 2 modifiers of grizzle. So you got a white pigeon is 1 factor spread, 2 factors of grizzle, and your white pigeons, I got some that can go back to red check and go back to blue check. So you can create them, like I say, if you know what it takes to make one.
Okay, now feeding. What do you do as far as feeding to get ready for a fly? Do you just put the feed in there, let them eat all they want, and or how do you do that?
You mean like some babies?
Well, yeah, you can cover that. I was talking about the fly, but you can cover the whole thing. I'm sure it'd be interesting.
Well, everything I raise, I intend to compete with it if I can, you know, so I breed my very best ones together, and I give them all that they want to eat, and I fly them as much as they'll take 2 or 3 times a day if you got time. Once they start spinning good, I like to go to every other day. When I'm getting ready for a competition, it's when I make the change on the food. Normally I give my young birds all they want to eat, and then towards the end of the year I try to compete with them. And a lot of my young birds in their first year make a competition kit, and I stock them, and then sometimes I pull them back out. And a lot of people don't like to stock birds at a year old, but I do, and I happen to notice a tape that John Huntington also does that, a guy from England. But if you're going to stock one, stock at about 18 months, good time. But back to the feeding, just give them all that they want, fly them all that they can take until they start spinning, go to every other day. Then if you're getting ready for a competition, take the ones that you got that are working. So you got 50 up there that's working out of your 100, so then you want to pick your competition birds out of that 50. Try to pick the ones that look the best to you, because if they look good to you, they're probably going to look good to the judge also. From that point, once I get them picked, I like to run an A team and a B team and feed them and fly them at the same time. You know, as soon as my A team comes in, send the B team up. But if you get them down to 2 level teaspoons and fly your birds every other day, you can ride on that for a long, long time. A couple weeks before competition, put them on Milo. And it's really all there is to it. I've done the same thing Exactly. The same thing for the last 10 years, and I've won more flies than I've lost, you know. Not to brag, but if you just got a system that if you can find something that works for you, stick to it. And I found something that worked for me, and that's all I do, and I do the same thing every time.
Okay, now, talking about feeding your babies from the time they were hatched up and everything, what time of the year do you put your birds together in order to, do you have to think ahead about when the flies are going to be and what happened to get them ready and have them at the right stage and all that? Is there thoughts, is there a lot of planning that has to go into this?
Well, yeah, well, like I say, once you got it down, you got it down, but a lot of guys don't consider the time that you're going to fly. That's the key thing, you know. If you got some spinning pigeons, you put them together so that they'll be the age your birds come into the roll. A lot of guys have pigeons and most of their birds come into it, say, at 6 or 7 months old or 8 months old. Well, if you know that, then that gives you an edge. What you need to do, if you got a competition, say, for instance, in June, and you know your birds, say your birds come into it at 6 months old, then you want to put your birds together in December, so when your birds are hatched and up, they're 6 months old. They're right at their peak. So if you kind of take your calendar and mark where your birds are coming into it and mark your fly down and back up, you can zero right in on it. You can compete with your birds when they're at their peak. But, like on this World Fly, everything I flew was old birds. You can compete real well with your young birds as long as you know when they come into it. And most generally it's 7 or 8 months old.
Would you agree with this statement that basically you can pick your birds at what time they come into the roll? If you want your birds to come in at 6 months or if you want them to come in at 10 months, you can pick the birds that begin to roll at that time and use those as your breeders, and that will dictate how early or how late your birds comes in. Is that a factor?
Well, yes, it is a factor. Some birds are come into it early. Now early I mean 4 and 5 months old. And
would you recommend to breed birds that begin rolling, say, 3 or 4 months old?
I wouldn't mind breeding it as long as the bird made it. If he lived for a year, if this bird comes in at 3 months old and he lives to be a year old, then he's a good pigeon. As long as he's doing what he's supposed to do, he kits and he's frequent and he's got good velocity and good style. But I would recommend, probably be safe, to breed that bird to another good pigeon with all the qualities that this one has that might come into it late. Breed an early developer to a late developer. Try to find a good balance in there. Yeah.
What I was getting at is a lot of times if you're not careful, if you begin to breed birds that come in too early, and you stock them too early, you may be having some roll downs. You need to fly them out and make sure that they're not going to roll down on you, though.
Yeah, you do. And normally your birds that come in at 3 months old, they'll kill themselves before they see 4 months old normally. But I have had them do it and make it. I got a black model I'm flying now that was one of the first birds that came into it. She came into it at 3 months. They had a bit of problems with her. And matter of fact, she's my best spinner I'm flying right now, which is going to be your bird.
Oh, well.
Yeah, but she came into it early, and she's just fine. Joe Rowe had a saddle, a yellow saddle that came into it at 3 months old one time. She was a 20, 25 footer. And the cool thing about her was she had good eyes, and it's hard to find a saddle with good eyes.
That's true.
But she came into it early, and she stayed an ace through the whole thing. But that's an exception to the rule. Normally, if they come in that early, they don't make it. But if you have early developers and late developers, which we all do, breed the early developers to the late developers, and you'll find a happy medium there, and you'll have a better success rate that way.
Okay, talking about breeding and all, how do you pick a breeder? Do you say that's a pretty bird and this is a pretty bird, so I'm going to breed some more pretty birds, or how do you go about that? Do you have to pick the good spinners, or tell me how do you do that?
Well, it depends on the situation. You know, like if you don't have that many good pigeons, you just pick the best that you got flying and you breed them, regardless of how big they are. If they're doing a good job, then that's the kind you want. But if you got a whole bunch of good ones, which I tend to get a bunch of good ones every year, a lot of times I'll go, well, I need a good spin in white, or I need a good spin in black, or I need a good spin and opal, you know, so I might go that route. I suggest you good spinners before you go that route. If you don't, like I say, don't pay no attention to color. Pick the ones that kit, do the time, you know, got good velocity, good style, good frequency, everything that you need. That's what I would breed from. I wouldn't pay no attention to body or anything else. As long as they did good up there, that's the main thing. You know.
Well, you're talking about initially, you know, paying attention to body.
Yeah.
Initially, until you get going. Okay.
Right. So you got a whole bunch of fit ones. You got a whole bunch of good ones. Then go with the bodies that you like.
Okay, you were talking about that. That program has worked for you for 10 years. So you've been into rollers, competing rollers for quite a while now. So do you have a particular family, say one particular family that you stick with and breed, or have you gotten birds over a period of time here and there that spun the best and made up your own family? How do you work that?
Well, you know, I like to sit here and say, yeah, all my birds are from the same family and they're all closely related, but I'd be lying, you know. My birds come a little bit from everywhere, you know. You know, some come from Joe, some come, I got a couple good jackanets out there. I got some birds that goes back to Flats, Hardesty, Cohen, just about every kind of name you can think of. My birds is just a mixture of a little bit of everything, you know. And I raise 100 a year, and I try to keep about 20 if I need them. This year I really don't need them. I got a bunch of good birds in there, and I got a bunch of good flying, so I'm just going to fly them on out. Don't really have to stock anything right now. I'm in pretty good shape. I plan on breeding out the World Cup birds, you know. But these birds I'm flying today, I'm going to try to use them in the next World Cup. But to answer your questions, no, my birds ain't really one family. I've been working with some of them for several years, and you know that I can call like my family. You know, after 2 or 3 years, they're pretty much yours. But I got a little bit of everything.
That's what I was going to say. Actually, you are breeding out of one family. You're breeding out of the Bender family, because if you've been developing these birds for 10 years, they're not anybody else's birds. Everyone got them from someplace.
Well,
we all got them from somebody. And after you've had birds for a number of years, say you've been breeding for 10 years and picking and calling, then they're Bender birds now. So
well, yeah, okay, they're Bender birds better.
I know what you were saying.
Yeah, if I had to give everybody credit for my pigeons, of course Joe Rowe gets a lot of credit, got good birds from him, got a lot of good knowledge from him, but the list would be really long of all the input that's went into my birds before I got a hold of them, you know. But once you say, I think we mentioned out at your house that you can run them in a couple of years, or you can make them better in a couple of years. So after you've got them a couple of years, they're pretty much your birds. So I'd have to say they're my pigeons, you know.
Okay, so do you hold any offices here in the local club or anything?
Yeah, I was vice president for a few years, and right now I'm a publicity director, club historian, and Donnie, do you remember what the other one was? Public relations.
Got so many titles you can't
I got a
remember
bunch
all.
of them. I'd have to go in there and look it up, but they keep me pretty busy.
Yeah, John, I can testify to this fact. John is a big promoter of the hobby, and you know, that's really what we need, someone to excuse me, someone to promote the hobby, because we were discussing earlier. I read somewhere that pigeon breeders, pigeon fanciers are 1 in a million, and so you take 1 in a million, and then how many out of that 1 in a million are roller fanciers? And if we don't have promoters around, you know, potentially the hobby could die out, you know, and I know none of us want to see that. John has really gone a long way here. You know, he's really promoted pigeons around here, and now, you know, he's a World Cup champion. You know, I'm really proud of you for doing that. And he's really done a lot with the local club, and he's done a lot towards helping with the maintenance of the local club, getting the money to you know, do repairs and what have you. So you know, he deserves a lot of credit for that. And anyone that's willing to hold offices, you know, they take a lot of flack, and you can't please everyone. So
yeah, there's always
you know,
someone mad at me somewhere.
Yeah. So you know, all that's very important. You know, that those things be taken care of, because if they're neglected, then as I said, you know, things could die out. You know.
Well, it's like this tape that you're watching right now. You know, this money from this tape goes to put a new roof on our club. That's why we're doing this. We need the money for the club. Also, if you're the only guy in your area that raises rollers, you got to get out there and shake them up. Get people in your yard, show them your birds, tell them about your birds, let them watch this tape, stuff like that. And if you can get a few more in your area, it's a lot more fun. It's kind of boring by yourself. But in my case, if I was the only roller guy around here, I'd still have my rollers. But if you can go out and get some people interested, it'll be a lot more fun for you.
I know John also is involved in writing articles, and you know, that's important too. You know, they'll, even in that, you know, everyone won't agree. We all have different viewpoints and different ideas, but you know, if you have ideas, write them down and send them in, and that makes interesting reading for everyone. And you know, that's the type of thing we need to go on. You know, get involvement. So, being the World Cup champion, I know that's the ultimate goal. So, are you planning on just quitting now, or are you planning on continuing on? Or,
that was the ultimate goal, but then I had to find a new goal. You know, so the new goal is this Master Flyer Competitors Award. It's similar to the Hall of Fame, and that's what I'm after. And right now, if I'm not mistaken, I'm first in line to get it. If I could just win a few more flies, first person gets 1,000. I think we mentioned it over Jeff Snook's house. I showed it to you. Gets that award, and it's sponsored through the PFRC. That's what my new goal is right now.
John, by the way, I don't know if it's been mentioned or whatever, but John has won numerous local flies. You know, he's the guy to beat. Him and Joe Rowe, you know, they both do real well. But we're interviewing John right now, so we'll talk about John. He's the guy to beat. You know, he does real well. He's won numerous local flies. He's won numerous state flies. And now he's won the World Cup, and which I said that is the ultimate goal. And you know, of course, there's always next year's World Cup as well. So, what would you attribute to being a World Cup winner? What does it take? Can you just haphazardly go about it and meet that goal, or does it take some dedication?
Well, I think the person that I've ever seen that could put it on paper best was Jerry Higgins out of California, who wrote an article called Self-Discipline. And it's a discipline thing. You got to get in a habit of taking care of your birds, taking mental notes and taking written notes and reading. And, you know, it just don't come to you. It's not an accident, you know. It takes a lot of work. It really does. But the bottom line is you'll get out of it what you put into it. If you just want pigeons, you got to figure, am I a hobbyist? Do I just want pigeons, or am I a competitor? And if you decide you're a competitor, then you got to knuckle down. You got to read. You got to watch your pigeons. You got to figure out about styles. You know, what style is a good style, what style is a bad style, what are good habits with my birds, what are bad habits, what is the recommended size of a pigeon, you know, that you want to work with. And it's just a self-discipline thing. You got to get out there. And I want to mention to you guys who compete, everybody wants to win, everybody, but everybody can't win. And try to be a good sport when you don't win. I don't win them all. I got my butt kicked real good here the other day in the state fly. Out of, I think, 18 flyers, I come in 10. But I'll get them the next time, you know. So try to handle it whether you're a good winner or a good loser, and try to help the guys that's around you that don't know as much as you do. And give everybody else a leg up when you can. You know, it makes it a lot more fun if you don't have a bad attitude about losing, or you don't get real arrogant when you win. You know, you got to be a good sport.
I'd like for you to explain style to us, but before that, I'd just like to say that you know, I was here during the state fly, and you know, you had some bad luck. Your birds are much better than that, and you can't win every time. There's always going to be, you know, you may get the feed off just a little bit, or the wind may be against you, or you know, hawk may dive or whatever. You can't always win, as you said. But and I was here for the World Cup too, and when you won, and you know, your birds, as I said, are always excellent. But that day they were given 100%, and usually they give 110. You know.
Yeah.
So you know, I thought that was really a compliment to you that they were off just a little bit that day, but still they were, you know, good enough to win. But they weren't actually they hadn't reached their full potential, because I've seen them that they were, had really reached a greater height than they had that day. But
Yeah.
they were good.
Normally they didn't fly that low, and you're talking about reaching their full potential. And everybody says, oh, you ought to have seen them last week. Well, you really ought to have seen them last week.
The one that got away.
Yeah, they went past their peak, and they was on the downside. And if I would have, I thought I had them right on it, but actually it was a little bit too low on the food. I should have given them a little bit more food, and I could have been real competitive that day. But as it was, I misjudged. It wasn't the bird's fault. But I would have liked for them to have done better, but they didn't. And a lot of the guys, they come around, they want to watch the World Champions pigeons. And I didn't put on a good show that day, and it made me feel bad for them. But as far as my end of it goes, I know I messed up, and it wasn't my bird's fault. I've heard of guys get mad at the birds and go out and pulling all their heads off and stuff like that. But, it wasn't the pigeon's fault. It was my fault.
Basically, as we were talking before, if you're going to be a good trainer, you're a dog trainer and a pigeon trainer, then you have to try to be a little bit smarter than the animal that you're dealing with. So it's not necessarily the animal's fault.
They gave me the best they could for what I done for them.
As I said, his birds always give 110%. And that day they were only giving 100, and so when you come to expect that 110 and it's only 100, you think the people that see them all the time think, well, they're off a little bit today, but somebody that hasn't seen them all the time, they really, and they are doing good,
Yeah, if a guy tried to judge my pigeons and say, well, that's what his birds are like, your birds ain't the same every time,
No.
So,
well, is there anything, tell us about style. What's the style, there's different types of birds. There are the H pattern and the X pattern. We've covered that before. What is your preference? What would you breed out of if you had the opportunity and you do pick birds out of the air and breed out of them? What would you look for to do that? What type? What style of bird?
Okay, now, of course, this is my personal opinion. Everybody's got opinions. You know how that goes. But in my mind, this is how style works to me. You got an H pigeon. It's supposed to be the best, right? And Pinson always said, the H pigeons is what you're after. And that means you're getting a good high wing stroke. And in my mind, if the H is coming in, all right, for instance, H is good, you come out and you got a high X and you got low X, okay, then that's going away from it. That's bad, right? Well, in my mind, if you got H and then everything's coming up to that point, which is better on that way. So if you can bring it in past the H, that's even the best. And I like mine to touch at the top when you're watching them spin, where they look like a slim A. And you don't get a whole lot of them, but an H is a real good start. If you got an H-style pigeon, hang on to it and try to work it on the pigeons that are coming in. On the style coming down, they talk about the hull, and the smaller the hull, the better. Well, in my mind, if you close that hull up, you got the type of pigeon that shows no hull and looks just like a solid ball. In my mind, that's the best. So if I had what I wanted to work with in breeding, which I don't have a whole bunch of them, I just got a few, but I want the ones that touch or appear to touch in the sky and are the tightest you can get them from the side view, just as far as style goes.
So would you agree that that you can have speed without style?
Yeah, sure. Axle pigeon is a good example of that. Axle pigeon's rotation. I talked to Snyder the other day about style a little bit on the phone. He's timed these things in the rotation. And axle birds do look fast, but that's not the acceptable style, Got to get it up. And the rotation is the same, but it's not the acceptable style.
I know you and I were watching the tape that you have in there, and someone captured a spinning pigeon on that tape and slowed it down and actually stopped it, and it showed that the bird was going over and that the wings were coming all the way back, and it was it was really impressive to see that, to know actually to be able to slow that down and watch the bird actually roll in slow motion. And it was, I really enjoyed watching that.
Well, I wrote an article and I did some drawings on how I see it, and it should be out in the PFRC here before too long. But actually, a pigeon, in my mind, when it does this stuff, and it's from watching tapes and everything, tips them wings up, and then it's going to do one full stroke down. Well, when those wings go all the way down, this bird's upside down, so that's where you're going to see your tips, and then it's going to rotate over. But you'll see the tips when the wings come straight up, because the bird's in this position. Then when it comes down, it's upside down. Then it'll roll out of it, and you'll see a little distance there on the bottom, but you want it as close as you can on the bottom. I know that's hard to understand, but work with your fastest pigeons. Normally they're your best ones normally, but you can get some fast pigeons that's got the wrong style.
Didn't also you noticed something very unusual on that tape that the pigeon did with his tail?
Well, I don't want to get into all that, but it just, well, maybe I will. Right before the pigeon went over, it appears to me that it pulled the tail in. I mean, you know, the tail was up in the spin, but right before it went all the way over, it looked like it did one of those numbers. And it kind of caught my eye, and I thought, well, I don't want to really mention that. I didn't want to cause another bunch of stuff coming on, but...
Yeah, well, this is just speculation, but, I mean, I have no idea, but do you suppose it could be something that would help it to sort of the balance and help continue?
Could, yeah.
It's just a possibility.
Yeah, and it could have been just that one pigeon.
Yeah, it could have been.
It definitely pulled it all the way down. Right at a certain point in the spin, it would pull it the other way, which I thought was really neat. Caught me off guard. I wasn't expecting that.
It's kind of awesome, I guess would be the word, that we can actually have tapes and VCRs and all that. Well, we have the advantage of Bill Pinson and Stan Polona and J. Leroy Smith and all those guys. They just knew what they saw in the air, but now we can actually slow that thing down and get up close and see what's going on. You know, it's can understand. You know, and a lot of their theories. You know, they were right.
Yeah.
You know. And so they had to put a lot of thought and concentration in what was going on.
One of the things that Pinson stated before they ever knew about multiple genes was multiple genes. He stated that the ability to roll that the pigeon has was due to the action of multiple genes, and he was way ahead of his time when he made that statement. And the man was just flat ahead of his time. That's all there was to it. And I wished he was around today. I'd love to talk to the guy.
It'd be real interesting.
Yeah, and the way science is going and things, we're going to learn a lot more from these birds, computers and scientific filming and all this and that. So we still got a long ways to go. A lot of people don't care about the style. They just want them to get up there and work and this and that, which is okay and it's fine. But if you want to compete, there's an acceptable style, and you have to figure out what that is, find out what that is before you can do well. You know, if your bird's is rolling just as much as another guy's, but you don't have the right style, then it's going to set you back on points. You can still score, but, you know.
You were mentioning scientific back and everything. I was watching a nature program, and they said that they figured out what makes racing homers home. So maybe one day we'll be able to figure out why rollers roll. And what they said was any bird or migratory animal, say such as the salmon or geese or whatever, they said that they figured out that they have just a small metallic chip, if you will, I forget the word they use, in their brain, something just a small metallic thing in their brain, and they use that as a compass as far as the Earth's magnetic fields,
yeah, I heard about
and they
that.
can navigate where they're going, and that's how the racing homers home. You know, they could never figure that out before. So maybe there's some hope one day that they'll figure out why rollers roll, you know.
Yeah, all we got to work with right now, the ability to roll is due to the action of multiple genes, but we do not know how to separate them, you know. So all we're doing is really potluck. We're trying to breed our best to our best, but we ain't really zeroed in on it, and I still think it's similar to the epileptic seizures brought on to nervousness or heightened awareness or something. But the good ones, the ones that seem to enjoy it, seems to be brought on from contentment to me when they feel good, you know.
But it seems also doesn't seem to you to be controlled too in most. I mean,
I think it's controlled as far as the state of the bird. If it's in a little weaker physical state, I think it can be induced a lot more. Back to the contentment part. You ever notice your birds work good and a hawk comes by and they tighten up and they start flying a little fast, and after they realize that hawk's going on the way, or the big crow or whatever it was, once they realize it's going on, they'll bust real nice, and that's a sign of relief.
that's a good point.
I've noticed pigeons that have been somebody else's house and they come back to my house and they're like, oh, I'm home. Boom, they'll go into one, you know. And it just seems to me like it's sprinkling or raining a little bit and they feel good, they're a little more active. The ones that don't want to fly don't enjoy it, but I think the ones that enjoy it, as soon as they feel a little contentment, a little glad to be alive kind of a feeling, they go into it. Now on your parlor rollers, your parlor tumblers, just sheer fright puts them into it. I thought just the thought, somebody told me just the thought of them flying would make them roll, and I thought about that, and I thought, well, that makes sense, because anytime you get around them, they try to fly, they'll roll on the ground. But I sat and watched my parlor tumbler that I got, that anytime you scare it will knock off a 10 or 15 foot roll on the ground, and it was thinking about coming out of the fly box, and it was looking down. I had the door open, and that thing just got up and started hovering. And I thought, wow, the parlor can hover. It just hovered, and then it set back down. But now you go over to reach for it and startle it, and it's off into a big spin. So that one is induced by fright, and I think our rollers is more of a pleasure type of a thing. Just my thoughts. Could be wrong. Probably am.
Well, is there anything else you'd like to add?
I'd just like to add that we had a big fly the other day, and I didn't get to interview Wally Ford. I'm sorry about that. He's done a lot for the hobby, and he's continuing to do a lot for the hobby. He goes around to all the flies and stuff, and he's in the Hall of Fame. And I interviewed him the last time, and the last film we shot back in '92, and I regret not getting him on there. We just had so many guys that I just forgot. And another one is Richard Miller. Richard Miller is the coordinator of this state fly, this Ohio fly, and he's done a whole lot for the hobby. And I wanted to sit down and have a talk with him and get him on here. And I regret that I didn't do that. But I did want to mention that. Sorry, fellas, maybe next time. You know, really did want to get you on the film.
There's a lot going on that day.
Yeah, a lot going on. I had to compete that day, and I had to coordinate the fly that day, plus this filming thing. I had a lot to think about. You know, so I overlooked them.
Well, John, it was good to interview today.
Hey, man, I appreciate it. I'm glad you come down and do it.
Good to be here, and we hope everyone enjoys the tape, and so we'll see you next time.
We'll see you later.
Balls of feathers, but they aren't balls at all, even though they do have feathers. They're prized pigeons they take to the air in Portsmouth, Ohio, to show their stuff and bring home a first-place prize. Members of the Portsmouth Roller Pigeon Club compete against one another once a year. Each member brings out at least 8 of his finest birds to fly through the air and roll over and over again. Members of the Pigeon Club say their sport has been around for hundreds of years, even though you may not even have heard about it.
Well, years ago, the Egyptian kings did something very similar to we do with a bird that was called a tumbler. They wasn't quite as fast as what we're breeding today. Ours is has a lot more speed than the birds back in the Egyptian times. They've evolved a lot more.
Members say it doesn't take much training for these pigeons. They're just born with the ability to roll backwards in mid-flight.
Thank you, George.
That's great.
We're out here in Quincy, Kentucky at my good friend Roy Thayer's house. He's another one of our Portsmouth Club members. And we're going to go back and look at these birds and stuff. Come on with us. Let's see what's going on back here. Hey, we made it up here to the top of the hill in his backyard, and we're going to take a look at some of the birds. He's got some birds back here in this cage. We'll take a look at those. And to your right, Jeff, is the trailer. We're going to get in the trailer and take a look around. Boy's got all pigeons in there. He's got some pigeons in behind them pine trees, too, so we'll be down that way in a little bit and going to fly some. Right now, walk over here and let's look at these pigeons. What all you got over here, Roy?
Just harvesting. Got some of your whites, some indigo, lavender, and black.
A little bit of everything, huh?
Yeah.
Now, your family of birds are, well, about like mine. A little bit of everything.
Yeah.
You don't concentrate just on one certain family.
I like collars and different things.
I do, too. You like those Andalusians pretty well?
Yeah, I like
it.
those real well.
Indigo Gene came in here a couple of years ago. We've been having a lot of fun with that lately. Where's your indigos go back to?
They come from, all of them, they come from Joe around here, down in the Carolinas.
They would go back into Turner of the Carolinas and then Cohen. That Cohen fella. You got cocks here on the left?
Yes, that's all popular.
I still see you got that silver saddle down there on the floor.
Yeah,
That's the one Jim Hodge raised?
yeah.
Did you breed out of him this year?
No, never.
Let's walk around over to the trailer. You want to?
Be fun.
Okay, we're in the trailer now, and Roy, what are we looking at in here?
That's that old black family Joe Rowe brought in here years ago. That's what all those are.
Yeah, I got some of that in my blacks, and pretty good pigeons. Matter
Get
of
some
fact,
real nice birds out there.
yeah, I like that black and white combination. So
Yeah.
now all the birds you got in there are black and
They're
white.
all black. That old black family.
Yeah, I can get some good ones out of that. I'm curious to see how they turn out. Yeah, see, you got these here. You said were some borrowed
Yeah,
birds.
somebody had them borrowed and they brought them back last night.
Well, there's a mess of them. How did he do? Did he race some while he had them?
Not too many, but he's got that sugar real bad and he can't see.
Oh, he had to bring them back. Huh?
Yeah.
Well, daggone it. We got some breeding going on.
He had some that had young ones. I stuck them in here.
Oh, okay.
I got 2 pairs of indigos mated up.
Let's see,
They're
you
not indigo, but
Opal?
those opal and that red check.
dominant opal and a red check. Yeah, they say they make some pretty birds. Well, the red pastel look to them.
There's another pair.
Yeah, all right. Yeah, can you see that white bar bird in there? See if we can get it to turn. Got white bars on a red checker. They say it makes some real pretty pigeons, dominant opal onto a red checker. What do you got on back this way?
Oh, just those white kings back in there.
Can you step back and just get a shot of them through the door? Do you eat those things or not?
Fool with them.
How much you reckon they weigh out? Half a pound and a half, 2 pounds, something like
Yeah,
that?
every bit of it, some of them.
I still got that one that you gave me. He likes it over there. Well, you want to go down and fly some birds and talk a little bit?
It'd be fun.
All right, let's do that.
He's meaner than I am.
I'll go around and pet it, Donna.
Yeah, he's mean.
Now, hang on to him. Watch it.
That's a good one to watch.
Hey, get off of him. He is mean, ain't he? Let him bite you one time, Donna.
It won't hurt you, Donnie. Just hold on. Let me see your nose, Donnie.
Now, what is that, a gray?
That's a gray.
We'll be right back. Here's some birds we're going to try to fly here. Boy, I like this dark one back here with, what's that one right there with the red heart? That broad one. Boy, that's a pretty thing. So you got an Andalusian in there, some black marks. Of course, that's a red flight. White. Well, he is pretty. You see that one goes back to the Hardesty line? Now let's chase him out there. The old hat trick works pretty good, guys, if you want to get him out of there. Boy's been doing this a while. We'll sit down and have a good talk with him here in a little bit.
Point down there now, White.
We got these birds up. It's about 48 degrees this morning, and you can see them rolling out of there. Ought to be some pretty good work today. Roy's got some pretty hot pigeons.
These are all young birds.
All these are young birds, 94 birds.
Raised after March.
How many did you end up racing this year?
About 100.
About 100 of them. Yeah, they're just getting started. I'll see us a good bust here in a minute. Boy, I like hearing them roosters crow. You like hearing the roosters crow, really?
Yeah, you can hear them half mile off the road. Hear that bunch up there? They sound like they're right in the neighborhood sometimes.
I keep 6 of them around, and my wife gets aggravated with them, but I love hearing them crow.
There's 2 birds in there.
I seen a white one come out of there really fast.
Yeah.
Missed a little tail right in the middle, that one there. Fast-looking pigeon. Now, you just working with my old white line now?
Yeah.
I had some real good ones this year.
I'm going to fly a couple in competition now.
See some crows flying over. That might make them go a little higher today. Hawks going through yours like the rest of us?
Yeah. Hawks are bad right now.
Yeah, it's a bad
They're
time.
migrating. There was 4 in here the other night.
4 of them.
Yeah.
Did you get anything?
No, they just kind of passing through. 2 of them real low, but they didn't seem to bother anything. There comes that white bird.
Yeah, daggone it, I missed it. I was looking away. I know a lot of times people come to my house to watch the birds, and we'll stand there and we'll look up at them and watch and watch. About the time they turn their head, they'll go into a big bust. What all are you looking for? Did you see the hole in that one? That deeper one there? I seen a nice little hole in that. It's a good smooth roll. What all you look for in them concerning hole and wings and stuff?
I like them to roll ball up and go real tight and stuff.
Yeah. Past the hole?
Yeah.
Hole's a good start though, wouldn't you say?
Oh, yeah. They're pretty to watch, aren't they?
Mm-hmm. You people looking for a hole, you got to be at the right place at the right time to see it, but nothing wrong with the hole. But, we like them a little tighter. Get some good styled pigeons in there, Roy.
Them birds are just starting. I'd
Yeah.
say be another month or two before they're really doing much.
Yeah, I've seen your birds at their peak, and they'll be a lot better than this. But them birds has come along real good. You got some good speed in those pigeons. Now you're gonna, what month do you normally start breeding when you're breeding your birds?
Well, I never got started until the latter part of March this year because I'm working out of town. So depending on where I'm working.
Got a late start, huh? Well, most of them go in February, don't they?
Yeah. Come up right here.
Yeah, white one's a busy pigeon.
Yeah.
Does that one have any marks on it?
I
Do you
don't
know?
think it does.
That seems to be a little on the frequent side, that's for sure. It goes right back in though, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Wow. Did we get that?
Yep.
Wow, that was a great bust.
They're just starting. Here we are.
Yeah, you're going to be some really good ones up there.
I raised some red ballheads this year. It's awful good. I've got about 3 of them just turning some shines over there.
Red ball heads, where they go back to?
Oh, they're all Hardesty.
Oh, Hardesty. That Hardesty's got some good blood in it, doesn't it?
Yeah.
That stuff's helped me out a lot.
Got more frequency here, that white one. Stuff
Yeah.
in them than a lot of pigeons.
That white one came out again, didn't it?
Yeah.
I got a white pigeon there traveling along towards the back right now. He's trying to catch that. Been a pretty frequent bird. Balls up pretty nice. Probably see some more out of it here in a little bit. Are you a little soft on ball heads, are you, Roy?
No, not particular, but any of them rolls good, I like.
Yeah, well, yeah. You got so many colors that you
Yeah,
basically
I got all colors.
discover what's going the best, don't you? Excuse me. Wow. That dark south pigeon up there could go to good H pattern out of there. Just a slight bit on the
Some of that black stuff you
little bit on the jumpy side from them hawks chasing them, aren't they?
Yeah. They're leery of that stuff. Crow or buzzards or anything, man, they get flighty.
Oh, you got some of my blacks too?
Yeah.
Daggone, you just loaded up, aren't you?
You boys keep Jerry Parker in business.
Yeah. Hey, did you hear any more about Jerry going back in?
No. Well, they say he was, but I haven't seen him.
Yeah, well, Jerry's in for a while and he's out. We'd like to see him stay in. But, he gets big wild hair every once in a while and he'll go out.
There's several of them birds starting to roll.
Sure are.
I feel a big difference in them in a week right now.
I'd do for another, I'd like to see another big bust like they did a while ago. That was really neat. And we'll film them another minute or two. We'll have to still sit down and talk. Any bird guys out of the state or anything that you know you want to say hi to? They'll probably see the tape.
We always have a good time with the boys up north, northern part of Ohio. They come down here and we go up there once in a while.
At Wally Ford?
Yeah, we appreciate those boys.
Sure would and all. Yeah. Well, with their fellow Buckeyes, and it's us against the world, you know, we've got to stick together. Yeah, they're good old boys. I didn't get Wally Fort on the tape. I was wanting to, him and Richard Miller. Wanted to talk to people, Jim Feasel a little bit more, but he didn't seem to be very talkative that day. That little bit we got on him, I think that was out at Ducks. Well, let's see. Come on, pigeons. You been flying these things every day, or?
Just about.
You like flying your young birds hard until they come in?
Yeah, I do.
Do you?
Didn't let up on them, though.
You gotta lay it up on them once they start getting into it real well, don't you?
Yeah, there they go.
Oh, yeah. All right. Well, when the cameraman's ready, we'll fade out and we'll have us a little talk.
There'll be some good birds in there this spring.
Sure will. Hey, Hey, we're going to sit down and talk a little bit. Originally, we was going to try to set up by the birdhouse and do the interview, but it's raining. So we're down here underneath the overhang of Roy's house, back of his house. How you doing today, Roy?
Just fine.
Getting chilly today, ain't it?
Yes, it is.
Roy's been with our club for several years, and I want to ask you, how'd you get into pigeons, and how long have you been into pigeons?
Well, I've had pigeons ever since I was a kid. Started out little barn pigeons, and eventually got into rollers and back in the 80s and had them ever since.
Do you have any other type of pigeons besides barn pigeons?
Oh, I've had some homers and some kings and medines and about everything.
How long have you lived here at this particular house in Quincy?
I've lived here about 30 years.
30 years?
Yeah.
You say back in 1980 you started...
That's when I started fooling with rollers and flying out kit boxes and stuff.
How often have you been competing?
Well, I compete in every local competition we had, about twice a year.
I happen to notice you got chickens back there. What's the story on the chickens?
Oh, I happen to have a son-in-law and two young boys, 17 and 12, interested in chickens. I'm hoping that kind of fades out.
Yeah, we mentioned earlier we like listening to them crow. What about, they look like fighting chickens. Do they get to spar them once in a while?
Yeah, them boys pretty fun with them.
Yeah, they're a lot of fun. I got a couple. You got any other kind of animals?
Nah, them boys, they got a rabbit or two over there, and that's about all.
On the rollers, what different family of rollers do you have up there? Can you remember them all, where all your birds go back to?
Well, I got family of that old black stuff that Joe Rowe brought in here years ago. It was black and lavender.
Yeah.
I got some whites up there from John Vander and some blacks. And there's Hardesty family up there. Then there's an indigo family come out of Carolinas and Turner. And,
on those solid blacks and solid whites off for me, they treat me okay this year?
oh, yeah, they turned out some pretty decent birds.
Well, I know that white one was coming out. I seen a good solid
Yeah.
black one up there working for you. You should have some good luck with them. They've treated me pretty well. When you're competing and you've competed a lot, you're always in our flies. What all do you go through, Roy, when you're picking out a team to get ready for competition?
Well, you got to pick out birds that fly together is one thing, one of the main things. Which right now my birds are going through the motion. I'm going to have a hard time keeping them kitted up. But if you get birds fly together and work together, you're better off.
You know, if they're spinning like a top, but they're not coming out of the group, you don't get it, do you? Do you look for wings in any certain position, or do you like a good high wing stroke?
I like at least a high wing stroke or a balled up.
Good ball. Okay. On your breeders that you keep, that you're going to try to breed your good competition birds out of, what kind of consideration goes into your breeders?
Yeah, I don't put any birds up unless I flew them on the second season. They have to do good all that time. I never keep anything that's ever rolled down or bumped.
Do you think it causes a problem to keep pigeons that roll down and bred it?
Oh, I think it will. Eventually, you'll have too much of it, more than you want.
Now, you mentioned roll down and you mentioned bump. Could you tell us the difference between the two?
Well, I got a lot of trees around here, and they'll bump in these trees once in a while because they're tall. Sometimes they'll cripple themselves up a little bit.
So you won't breed out of them type either?
Now, if they hit that tree, I figure they'd hit the top of that loft, too.
Yeah. So your birds are basically a year and a half to 2 years old before you even consider them to breed out of. Well, with that type of looking at them, that ought to work out pretty good. So far, it seems to be working pretty good for you. On your collars, do you notice one color rolls better than any other color, or how do you feel about the colors on the
Not particular. If you don't have blue chicks and red chicks, I don't think you got much rolls, in your, you'll find out. Them chick birds, the rolls there.
So you consider a red check or a blue check to be the ultimate?
I think they are.
Now, you do know that all the other colors come off blue check and red
But
check.
you got to have them get those other colors.
Yeah, they're the basic, the basic stuff. All right. On your young birds, once you've got them out and you've got them up and you've got them flying, how often do you fly your young birds?
Well, I try to fly my young birds every day. After they come into the roll, I'll skip them every other day.
Do you change when you get up to where they're spinning good or not?
Yeah, I'll try to keep the birds spinning good together, so I can Don't fly them every day and fly all the roll out of them.
Can you fly all the roll out of them?
All believe you can. A couple days rest makes a big difference.
They're like athletes, aren't they?
Yeah.
You got to
It
rest.
gets hard.
Yeah. How many competitions do you, or did we cover that?
Yeah,
Well,
we covered
basically, we got, what, 3 competitions a year?
Yeah.
And you hit all 3 of them, didn't you? Also, I wanted to ask you about, I found this laying in your yard. Could you tell us something about that? What's that all about?
Yeah, we
Looks
shoot
like
up in there and spook them hawks once in a while.
Is it scaring the hawks off?
Yeah.
Yeah. Does it seem to work okay for you?
Yeah, very seldom they ever come back.
Is that right? Good percentage for scaring them off. huh?
Yeah, does a
Well,
good job.
that's great. That's great. On the offices, you know, you've been in the club and you've had different offices. Could you tell us what all different offices you've had?
Well, I've had secretary, treasurer, and vice president.
What are you doing now?
I'm vice president.
Vice president?
I feel real fortunate. We have a pigeon.
No, wait a minute. You was vice president. Wasn't you? Hey, Donnie's vice president?
Yeah, I'm secretary now.
Was that to aggravate Donnie?
We're going to take that away from Donnie.
You guys need to, alternate around. We've all had just about all the offices, and it's good for the club if you don't just sit in one position all the time. You need to kind of get around, don't you, really?
Yeah.
And is there anybody out there you want to say hi to?
Not that I know of, I don't think. We're all the pigeon fellas.
All the pigeon guys. We're going to move along, and we'll be getting back to you in a little bit. I want to thank Roy for letting us stop out here and talk to him today. He's one of the good guys, and we're glad to have him in our club. Even though he's in Kentucky, he's in our Portsmouth club, and we're very glad to have him. Roy, we're going to move on, and we'll probably see you later. You want to wave bye to everybody?
Well, see you all.
All of you guys for buying the tape. It's going to help put a new roof on our building. And anytime you're down this way, come and see us. We'll go around, we'll visit some of the other bird guys, try to have a good time, make you feel comfortable. I also wanted to thank Jeff Snook, our cameraman, for taking the time off on the weekends to go around and shoot with us. Also the camera belongs to Joe Rowe. We've been shooting this thing off and on now for almost a year, put it together, and we appreciate the use of the camera. I also wanted to thank Donnie James for his assistance. Without his assistance, it would have made this a lot harder to do. He's helped us out a lot. Also, I want to thank my wife, Debbie, for putting up with me taking off and doing this stuff, and all the other pigeon guys' wives for putting up with our bird antics. And that pretty well wraps it up. If you do get a chance, come and see us. Take it easy.